He's become our talisman at the heart of our defence. I think we're going to struggle.
It's another right thigh injury, and he could miss the first group stage match of the Champions League. What's up, coolers, and welcome back to Barca Dream Team. And today we're going to be discussing the injuries to Pedri and Araujo, and could they ruin the start of the season? We hope you'll subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're super excited about today's video, guys, so let's get started.
But first, we have to discuss Inigo Martinez. It was a low-risk deal when we brought him in on a free transfer, and Barca were fully aware of his injury. He did undergo surgery at the end of the last campaign, so the club are in no real rush to cut corners on Inigo's return. So that explains why we haven't seen Inigo take to the pitch since his signing in July. But Inigo has recently been integrated into group training. He's not going to be training alone anymore. Now that's a promising sign, telling us that he's in the latter stages of his recovery. So let's take a look at a rough time frame in terms of the matches he'll be missing out on. Reports have suggested that Inigo is not expected to return from injury before September. Now that means that the international break has come at a really good time, and we can probably expect Inigo to return to the squad around that Betis game midway through September. And the injuries don't end there. Ronald Araujo's picked up a left hamstring injury last week, which is why he didn't feature against Cadiz. And Araujo will definitely miss out on the next two La Liga matches, which are both away from home. I think we're going to struggle, especially against Quique Setien's Villarreal. But again, when you're looking at the time frame, the international break comes at a good time. Araujo will miss out on those two games and international service with the Uruguayan national team, but he should be back for our match against Betis. Now, we hate to see Araujo having to sit on the sidelines. He's become our talisman at the heart of our defence. Of course, he's one of the captains now too, and he's such a vocal figure, a real presence, and I'm sure he'll be fighting to get back into action even sooner than expected. But in the meantime, I suppose one possible silver lining is for Jules Koundé. He'll definitely be looking to cement himself in the team in his favoured position at centre-back. With Araujo out for the upcoming few matches, it should be Koundé at right centre-back, especially with the signing of João Cancelo. So I think this is really Koundé's chance to show Xavi why he should be the starting right centre-back. But now we have to move on to the news on Pedri's serious injury. Of course, he did score the other day, but it's another big blow for us. We know how much of a massive impact Pedri has on games. He's instrumental in everything we do. We'll definitely struggle without his vision to pick out a pass, his darting runs into the box, and his ability to regain possession. And that's not the news you want to be hearing at the start of the season. And I'm seriously starting to worry about the bigger picture here and what this injury could mean for the team in general. I can imagine we'll see a massive hit for our chance creation. I think we won't create much, and we're definitely going to struggle in the first few games without Pedri. We'll need to take every chance as it comes by, because unless things change, I don't see us creating much without our midfield maestro, Pedri.
But I'm concerned about this becoming a recurrent problem. It's another right thigh injury. We saw it last season. Pedri had two muscular injuries, both in his right thigh. He spent far too many days out injured. That's the best part of a year spent on the sidelines, and he's only 20 years old. So the club are really going to have to do everything in their power to get him back available. Otherwise, this could be a very costly injury at a pivotal moment in our whole season. And there are varying reports in terms of the length of this injury. Some reports have suggested a 5-week absence for Pedri, but others say that he could be even longer. It depends on him. His return date could be pushed back into October, and he could miss the first group stage match of the Champions League. Now, it's a near impossible task to try and replace Pedri's influence on a game, but I think immediately you look towards Gavi, and the question is, can he be as effective from a deeper position? It would be interesting to see him taken out of that inside forward role to see if he can have the same impact on games. Or do we instead look to move Gundogan further up the pitch? We saw his quality when he assisted Pedri against Cadiz. He's got the composure in the final third to create goal-scoring opportunities, and we saw that a lot at Manchester City. But if you're thinking that we need someone who's more of a similar profile to Pedri, I think you look no further than to Fermin Lopez. He really broke onto the scene in El Clasico, but we haven't seen much of him since. We were hearing reports of him breaking into the first team to become Xavi's 6th midfielder this season, but could Pedri's injury be the trigger for us to sign Tottenham's Giovanni Lo Celso for emergency cover instead? Now, I think that would be really damaging for Fermin's chances this season, and overall, I'd be against this signing. We've got other areas we should be prioritising, and I don't see the point of spending money and bringing in Lo Celso when Pedri should be back in a month or so. Let's put faith in our own players and give Fermin a chance. So when it comes to what a midfield without Pedri will look like, I think we have to switch to a 3 in midfield again. The box hasn't worked against teams that play a low block, so I'd take a chance and field a third forward instead. At the base, I'd have to put Oriol Romeu. We can't take him out of the team at the moment. And we spoke before about how he can be a surprise signing, someone who exceeds your expectations like Christensen did. And he's done that. He's slotted into the team perfectly. And I really like the comment here from a few days ago that we need a defensive-minded midfield player in the team, especially now that we have 2 attacking fullbacks in Balde and Cancelo. So we'll be looking to balance that out in midfield with Oriol Romeu. As the left interior, the player who's going to be the most advanced of our midfield 3, I'd have Gavi. Now, he's not been involved that much this season because of a toothache, so we'll definitely need to see how that develops to be able to gauge if he can be called upon. But I think Gavi's a solid option to replace Pedri. He's not the same player, but I think he adds an additional extra bit of attacking threat. So that will be a big boost in terms of chance creation for us. And to complete the midfield, I'd have Frenkie de Jong. I think we've seen Frenkie with the license to go forward. He's developed an understanding with Oriol Romeu, and we saw that against Cadiz. He was meant to be playing at centre-back, but he was as advanced as he normally is when he's playing midfield. And it was Oriol Romeu who went back to cover. And I think that in Gundogan and Fermin Lopez, we've got quality options to rotate our midfield as and when we need to, depending on what kind of opposition we're coming up against. Maybe I'd bring in Fermin if we're going to have a lot of space to exploit, and maybe Gundogan when we don't need to be as defensive with Romeu in there. So on the whole, I think that the midfield should be able to cover for Pedri whilst he's out injured.
But let us know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Do you think injuries will ruin our start to the new season? How would you cover for our injured stars? And would you put faith in Fermin Lopez or go out and sign Lo Celso with the transfer window slamming shut next Friday? So if you like this video, guys, and you want to stay up to date with Xavi's Barca Dream Team, make sure to hit that notification bell. Subscribe to BDT and we'll see you next time. Visca el Barça!